After many months, this past week, we finally learned the pricing and the trim structure for the 2027 Kia EV3 that's going on sale very soon here in the United States. For those of you not familiar with the EV3, this is going to be Hyundai Kia Genesis's new cheapest EV available in the US. Now that the Niro EV is discontinued, the Kona Electric is discontinued, there was a gaping hole in their lineups that needed to be filled, and that's where the EV3 comes in. The EV3 has already been on sale for 2 years around the world, mostly Europe and Korea. But last year it was announced that it was going to come to the United States. Thanks to carsize.com, which can overlay vehicle profiles for you, we can kind of get a sense of the size of the EV3. So when looking at it compared to the Niro, you can see they're very similar in size. The Niro is a little bit longer, 4.7 inches longer, and the Niro is just slightly taller, 0.39 inches. Looking at them from the front, they're very similar sized. Oddly enough, the EV3 is just a little bit wider than the Niro, which I was not expecting. Now, when you compare it to its older sibling, the EV6, that's where you can really see the size difference. The EV6 is almost 15 inches longer than the EV3, and the EV3 is 0.39 inches taller than the EV6. So if you live in a city where parallel parking is the norm, the EV3 is going to be much more easy to park than the EV6. So you might be asking, what about charging the EV3? Is it just as fast as EV6 and EV9? No, it's not. So the EV3 is based on their 400 volt platform. Voltage on the high voltage battery pack here is a little under 400 volts when fully charged. So it is going to be able to utilize those version 3 superchargers and get full charging speed. That is the issue with EV3, EV9, Ioniq 5. For charging slowly at version 3 and version 3.5 superchargers, because they are made for lower voltage Tesla vehicles. They're not made for high voltage cars, so they do suffer a little bit. But at version 3, version 3.5 superchargers, it will do its 10-80% charging time in 29 or 31 minutes, depending on the battery pack size. And then it will do the same at any other high power charger as long as it's over 150 kilowatts. So that is a bit of a bummer that you're not going to get 20-minute charge times like with EV6. But we already knew this. The car's been on sale for 2 years. We knew what to expect. And I think for a lot of people looking at this car, they're going to be buying this as a commuter car and just getting back and forth to work, running errands, more so than a road tripper. But even still, 29 to 31 minutes is not horrible for road tripping. It's in line with the Chevy Bolt. It's in line with the Nissan Leaf. So I don't think they really missed the mark there in terms of their competition. But in terms of just the brand, yes, it is a little bit slower. I would have thought by now, 5 years removed from these cars first going on sale, the EV6 and Ioniq 5, price of the 800 volt system would have dropped considerably by now, but I guess it just hasn't to the point where they can make it that much cheaper, which is kind of surprising. Let's look at how it compares in terms of price to Ioniq 5 and EV6, which are both 800 volt vehicles. So let's start with EV6, same family. So the light long range now starts at $41,200, which is a price drop compared to the 2025 EV6. So it is still considerably more expensive than the EV3. Granted, that has a 84 kilowatt hour battery pack, but if you compare that to the Wind front wheel drive, that's going to be about $35,000. So it's a $6,000 or so delta between the two. And EPA rated range is almost exactly the same for the front wheel drive and the rear wheel drive. 319 miles on the EV6 versus 321 on the EV3. Now, comparing the EV3 to the Ioniq 5, I think is a little bit more interesting because Ioniq 5 is now significantly more cheaper than it was a couple years ago. So the Ioniq 5 SE standard range now starts at $35,000. So that is only about $5,000 more than the base model EV3. Now that SE standard range Ioniq 5 is going to have about 24 miles of additional range because it has a 63 kilowatt hour battery pack versus 58.3 on the light EV3. Now the Ioniq 5, because of its 800 volt architecture, is going to charge 33% faster than the EV3, so about 20 minutes versus 29 minutes. And then when you look at the SE rear-wheel drive, which is the next step up, which has the 84 kilowatt hour battery pack, and you compare that to, say, the Wind front-wheel drive, that's $35,000, and then the SE rear-wheel drive Ioniq 5, $37,500. In terms of EPA estimated range, they're more or less the same, 321 versus 318. Again, charge time is the big difference there. The Ioniq 5 is also going to feel a lot more spacious than the EV3 because of its 3-meter wheelbase. It's significantly longer than the EV3. But I do find it interesting that there is now a decent amount of overlap between EV3 and Ioniq 5, even more so than EV3 to EV6, which I think makes sense for Kia's standpoint because they don't want two of their cars overlapping too much. But I think there's going to be a lot of people cross-shopping Ioniq 5 versus EV3 because they are much closer in price. So now that we got the size out of the way, let's talk about the trim structure and the pricing. So just like all of other Kia's cars right now, it's going to come in a light, a wind, a land, GT line, and surprisingly GT in the United States. So the GT is going to have a little bit more power than even the GT line. It's going to have those lime green brake calipers, some different colored interior bits, and a few extra features that you can't get on any of the other trims. Now what's really cool here, this is the first sub $30,000 starting price EV from Kia. Now, granted, it doesn't include a $1,500 destination fee, so once you factor that in, it does creep over $30,000, but it is getting pretty close to some of its closest competitors here in the US. And those would be the Nissan Leaf, the Chevy Bolt, and the Chevy Equinox. So for under $30,000, you're getting a 58.3 kilowatt hour battery pack, which should give you an EPA estimated range of 221 miles. This is going to be a front-wheel drive only spec. You cannot get the light with all-wheel drive, 17-inch wheels, and basically a bare-bones car, kind of similar to the Ioniq 5 SE rear-wheel drive or that base EV6 light. Now that's not to say that it's not a well-equipped vehicle from the get-go. You're going to get a lot of nice stuff for that price. Now, stepping up from there to the wind front-wheel drive, you're jumping up to the 81.4 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which is going to give you 321 miles of EPA estimated range. Remember, that is in mixed driving. You're not going to do that just doing 70 miles per hour on the highway. Power, just like with the light, is 201 horsepower. Now, some other features that you're going to get with that wind trim, you're going to get the Syntex seats, and they're going to be heated, power driver's seat, wireless phone charger, and automatically extending door handles that match the body color. Apparently, you're not going to have the automatic deploying door handles on the light, which I do find kind of odd. Stepping up to the wind all-wheel drive, which is a first for the EV3. It's only been available in front-wheel drive in all other markets. Same battery pack, but rated for 280 miles of EPA range. And then power does jump up to 261 horsepower. Along with the extra motor, you are getting the heat pump in the all-wheel drive variant, and that is going to give you more efficient cabin heating and cooling. From there, you go up to the land trim, and that's where you start to get a lot nicer features in the car. With the front-wheel drive version, again, rated for 321 miles, 201 horsepower, but you are now getting as standard 19-inch black wheels, power sunroof, blind spot and 360-degree surround view monitor, ventilated front seats, driver's memory seat, roof rails, and the smart power liftgate. And that is $38,490 for the front-wheel drive. It's $200 cheaper than the wind all-wheel drive, so you kind of got to make the decision yourself how much you value all-wheel drive versus front-wheel drive, because those cars are basically the same price, but the Land is going to have a lot nicer features than the wind trim. Stepping up to the Land all-wheel drive, again, 280 miles, 261 horsepower, $41,690. Next up, GT line, which is $43,490, 280 miles of mixed EPA range, 261 horsepower. And stepping up to the GT line, you're obviously going to get some more features. So you're going to get the Harman Kardon audio system, power passenger seat, onboard vehicle to load, so that's going to be under the rear seat. Digital key, which will allow you to use your iPhone or Android phone as the key to get in and out and start the car. A HomeLink garage opener built into the mirror, rain sensing wipers. GT line also gets power folding side view mirrors. So the GT line is only available in all-wheel drive, which means every GT line is going to have the heat pump as well. Now, I really wish we were at a point where the heat pump wasn't even a question anymore. Ioniq 6, every version, rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, they all get the heat pump. So I understand they got to cut costs somewhere, but I think that's a pretty important feature. And then just like EV6 and EV9, it has a different front and rear bumper. And then top of the heap, the GT spicy version of the EV3. I put that in air quotes because it is still only 288 horsepower. It's only 27 horsepower more than the standard all-wheel drive version of the EV3. So it is going to have a slightly faster 0 to 60 time. I think it's quoted at 5.5 seconds versus the standard GT line all-wheel drive is 6.5 or 6.6. So it's second faster to 60, which a lot of people will appreciate, but then you are stuck with the kind of weirder styling of the lime green brake calipers and those other things on the interior. Now, what I find odd is that they gate kept some really nice features that people would really probably like on the GT line and kept them only for the GT. First one being Highway Drive Assist 2. So every lower trim of the EV3 only has HDA1, which does not do automatic lane changes when you tap the turn signal. So that's a bit of a bummer. The heads-up display is also only available on the GT, and LED interior ambient lighting around the door panels and stuff, that's also only on the GT. Active sound design, where you can make a fake noise to simulate acceleration and deceleration in the car, also only on the GT. Remote smart parking assist, also only on the GT. So if you want to use your key fob to drive the EV3 in and out of a parking spot, or automated parallel parking, perpendicular parking, that is kept to the GT only. So what does this mean for me? You guys might have heard me comment in previous videos that I am very interested in the EV3, specifically for a couple of reasons. One being, me and my wife are moving to Providence relatively soon. We're buying a house there in the city, and we're going to be dealing with parallel parking just as much as we are here, just north of Boston. So having a smaller car definitely helps in that regard in terms of finding spaces. My wife also does prefer smaller cars. She's been driving the Ioniq 6 for a couple years now, and she definitely misses her Kona electric in terms of size. So she would feel more comfortable being back in a smaller car. So the EV3, I think, would be a great option for her, especially because we have the Ioniq 5 for doing road trips if we need to. And I guess thirdly, I just really like the look of it. It does remind me a lot of a mini EV9, which I'm a big fan of the design language of the EV9, the EV5, which we're not getting in the US. So I do think they did a good job with the EV3. Now, unfortunately, the EV3 in other markets is already getting a mid-cycle refresh, and we here in the US are getting the old design of the EV3 immediately. So I don't know if a year from now, for the 2028 EV3, we're going to be getting the refreshed EV3 that the rest of the world's going to already be driving, or if we're going to continue to see this exact version of the EV3 for 2 or 3 more years before they do the refresh here. Kind of remains to be seen. So when is the EV3 going on sale? Well, supposedly it's on sale right now, but if you go to any dealer websites or search for inventory on Kia's website, there is none currently available. I presume it's going to be several weeks. I think a car in this category is desperately needed by Hyundai and Kia. I do think it's a shame that Hyundai has said they're not going to be bringing the Ioniq 3 to the US, which would be the EV3's direct competitor. I really like the look of the Ioniq 3. It's also kind of a step change into the new Plios Connect operating system, infotainment system for the car. The EV3 is using CCNC, just like the Ioniq 5, the Ioniq 6, the EV9, the Ioniq 9. So I am more excited for the Ioniq 3, but we're not going to get it, so that excitement has to be tempered, and I'll have to reorient my attention to the EV3. So let me know what you guys think. I know a lot of people are getting off of lease on Ioniq 5, EV6. You're looking for a new car. Are you willing to backtrack a little bit in terms of charging speed for a cheaper car? Let me know down in the comment section. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts. Check out my store at ioniqguy.com for all sorts of accessories for your Hyundai, Kia, or Genesis EV. Consider becoming a channel member for as little as 99 cents per month. For $2.99 per month, you can get early access to these videos, as well as a 10% discount to my store. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.